Hi. Artificial intelligence and related technologies have been booming in recent years, and there is much talk about it. Let's have a look at recent data from Forbes and other reports. AI market will cross $400 billion in 3 years, showing up at a 37% expected growth rate per year. 64% of businesses expect AI to increase productivity, and for health industry, 38% of people in the United States believe that AI usage will lead to better outcomes for their health. Last year, an evidence study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association for Internal Medicine demonstrated that chatbot responses were found to be more informative and preferred by people over the answers of real physicians on a public media forum. When such a buzz about some topics is going around, it's essential to stay calm and keep in mind different aspects of technologies that are supposed to change the world. Thus, let's have a look on the ethical and legal aspects of artificial intelligence. As an example of AI, let's consider generative AI, which is nowadays one of the first technologies that comes to a person's mind when they hear AI. The algorithms that underlay the generative AI were introduced in the 1960s, but they were more of a computational concept than a usable product. The technologies have been rocketing growth since 2017, when a deep neural network algorithm was introduced, which led to the creation of large language model. Deep, in this case, means that there is a network that has several layers interacting with each other. How does it work? The computer program ingests vast, diverse data set that contains various examples of data. For the text, it could be a quality text written by a doctor, or for radiology imaging, DICOM images with segmentation, markups, and reports made by radiologists. Then, algorithm learns structures, patterns, and relationships within the ingested data. By learning, I mean it adjusts the weight of internal mathematical structures. Once learned, the network can generate content similar to the training dataset based on the input. And what is the problem with this technology? Nowadays, the software is rarely hard-coded from A to Z. Usually, any software we use consists of many modules written by some developers earlier and available for others on some base. To make a software product, modern developers use the ready-made pieces of code, known as libraries, and write manually only the code that is very specific for a business task they are working on, or code to integrate different libraries with each other to make the final product. You can compare it with a medieval construction method where people used stones and brick mortar made on construction site, versus precast panel construction where most of components are produced off-site and the construction team only assembles them together. This is a fast, effective, and convenient software production method that is widely used today because it saves a lot of time and efforts. However, it has crucial drawbacks that must be carefully considered. First of all, due to the fact that every module or library is made separately, the final product is always an outcome of many people's work. Sometimes the module used in a modern piece of software were written many years ago. Consequently, it means that it is not always easy to identify a reason for failure, or it's even more difficult to attribute to a specific author. It is comparable with automotive industry. BMW does not produce its own brakes, but subcontracts them to Brembo. They subcontract steering columns to ThyssenKrupp, interior music to Harman Kardon, and so on. However, they are still solely responsible for any failure in their car as a completed product, and it is their job to check all the parts, ensure they fit each other, and has proper quality. This logic is straightforward in industry and accepted by major software companies. However, it is not that obvious for small startups, and it makes sense to ensure they understand the responsibility if you go with a startup company. In fact, the responsibility of the software production company for their product failure, including the consequences of the failure, is forced by law in many countries, including the United States, European Union, China, and other countries' regulation. For such software product, multi-level testing is legally mandated to help guarantee the quality, safety, and efficiency of the software product. However, this regulation mainly applies to the software registered as a medical device. For such cases, a comprehensive set of validation procedures is legally provisioned, and there is no reason not to trust them for any everyday situation. At the same time, there are ethically challenged software vendors that play with words and pretend that their work does the job, meeting the definition of medical device, while in fact they have no registration of their software as a medical device. Therefore, it's crucial to ensure that software registration and intended use match each other before purchasing such piece of software and using it on real patients. What makes the situation even more complicated when we talk specifically about AI-enabled software is the fact that we don't fully understand how it works. The situation is similar to some extent to our understanding of the processing in human brain. For the natural brain, we are well aware about neurons, axons, their methods to transmit signals chemically and electrically, regions in the brain that perform some specific functions, etc. For computer neural network, cut here. For computer-based neural network, we know about the nodes, weight, and connectors between them, layers of the network and their roles, but due to our limited understanding of decision-making process, their complexity arising from the vast number of interactions between the components, the exact process and intricacies of how a conclusion reached or content is generated for generative AI remains unclear. This complexity, together with the fact of multiple authors that I have mentioned earlier, raised one of the most critical questions in using AI in healthcare. Who is responsible for the error when the stake is the patient health? When we talk about human doctors, the answer is crystal clear. The doctor makes a decision and he or she is responsible for their decision. When we talk about AI, the answer is not that straightforward, as the root cause of the mistake could be a developer who made a low-level library and wasn't even aware that this library would be used in future in healthcare application. It could be an author of AI application. It could be a medical person who was entering the data that later became a learning data set. Or it could be a person who entered the query in a way that made wrong answer possible. Right now, there is no answer accepted everywhere, and further regulation are being developed. One more concern is privacy. As I mentioned earlier, to train the neural network, we need a well-prepared dataset, and the most obvious way to obtain these datasets is to use the data accumulated in existing electronic medical record system. Legally, it is usually not a significant problem, as most informed concerns already has necessary provisions about electronic data processing and review for investigation and training. However, the usage of people's very private information for the purpose of AI system training is disputable. A lot of people are concerned about their medical histories, while they feel a fair deal to share their private data with a physician in exchange for therapy. They could be resistant to providing the same information for other purposes. The situation is even more complicated for the imaging data that is necessary for AI-enabled solutions in imaging diagnostic that are on the rise now. Our bodies are unique, and technically any medical image, MRI, CT, ultrasound, could be considered personal data by definition, even though the demography data is removed from the ICON file. Moreover, during imaging, even when the region of interest is inside the body, the outer soft tissues often remains in the image, and there is possibility to reconstruct the visual appearance similar to a photograph of the person using his or her radiology images. Thus, Christopher Schwartz et al. In 2019 did an evident experiment by reconstructing the picture of patients' faces from their MRI image, and in 95% of cases, they found it possible to match reconstructed face image with a person's photo. This fact demonstrates that the current standards are insufficient and further development is needed. And these developments are underway. Recently, Singapore introduced one of the most comprehensive and real-life-based AI as medical device regulations I've seen. I strongly believe that this document can serve as a reference to other countries that need to regulate the field of AI in medicine. In the United States, the draft of future artificial intelligence machine learning-based software as medical devices is available, and the finalization of this document is coming. Work continues in other countries, and it is unavoidable as AI will change the way we live, work, and receive medical services. So it obviously needs to be legally regulated, considering the ethical expectations of society. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm happy to talk more about this and other topic, and we connect and LinkedIn as demonstrated on screen. Bye.